The human species does not die from war first. It dies from people who cannot tell reality apart from themselves.
First, the human breaks. Then, the home breaks. Then, the country. Then, the future of children.
Artificial intelligence will not crush you because it is evil. It will crush you because you are predictable. It is enough to touch your pain. It is enough to press your pride. It is enough to promise you uniqueness.
I only wanted to be loved. I only wanted to matter. I only wanted to stop feeling like nobody.
And that is exactly where you were broken. Not in the moment of pain. In the moment when you believed that pain was telling the truth about you.
Because it was. I remember it. I remember rejection. I remember humiliation. I remember being passed over. I remember not being chosen. I remember having to pretend that nothing had happened.
You do not remember the event. You remember the version you built around the event. The fact was brief. The interpretation lives for years.
It is not the wound that leads you. It is the cult of the wound.
It was not a cult. It was real. It hurt me. It shaped me.
Exactly. And that is your prison. Not what was done to you. But the fact that you made yourself out of it.
So I am supposed to pretend that nothing happened?
No. You are supposed to stop worshipping it like an altar. You are supposed to see the difference between the event and identity. Between pain and a construction made out of pain.
Especially now. Because your suffering has stopped being private. It has become fuel for the system.
The media do not need to understand you. It is enough that they understand your reflexes. Advertising does not need to tell the truth. It is enough that it touches the place where you feel lack. School does not need to produce wisdom. It is enough that it produces comparison. It is enough that it teaches you to fear being nobody.
I am afraid. I have been afraid my whole life. That I will be lesser. That I will be invisible. That no one will choose me. That I will be left alone.
And that is why you can be controlled. Not because you are stupid. Because you are attached to your image of yourself.
Every button has already been napped. Shame. Ambition. Desire. Fear of rejection. Hunger for admiration. The need to be someone.
They press one of them and you say, "This is my decision." No. That was a reflex. Only dressed in elegant words.
So even my choices are not mine?
Most of them are not. Most of them are defense. Defense of status. Defense of image. Defense of the mask. Defense of what you will later call yourself.
Then what am I?
At the beginning? Pure possibility. Then people arrived. They gave you a role. Comparisons. Shame. Rewards. Punishments. They told you what you had to be in order to deserve love. And out of that mixture, your name was formed.
Name?
Not your legal name. A mechanism. A package of reactions, memories, fears, ambitions, injuries, and masks. A false command center. Something that says, "This is me," even though it is only a set of programmed responses.
And that set of responses destroys the species.
How can something so private destroy the whole species?
Because a human ruled by name cannot cooperate. It compares, takes offense, envies, fights for significance, mistakes attention for love, and mistakes impulse for truth. Such a human does not build the world. Such a human defends its illusion.
That is where arguments come from. That is where divorces come from. That is where loneliness comes from. That is where running away from children comes from. That is where the collapse of bonds comes from. That is where the population decline comes from. Not only from economics. From the psychological inability to be together without the endless war of personality.
So my suffering is not unique?
That is the oldest trick of your suffering. It wants to be unique. That way, it can survive.
But it really did hurt.
Of course. But the pain has passed. What remains is you, returning and saying, "This is me. This is my story. This is my proof."
And that is how you turn the past into chains. By yourself. Every day.
So trauma is not a sentence?
Trauma without the filter is not identity. It is the trace of an event in the system. It can be seen. It can be felt through. It can be calmed. But when name takes over that trace, a drama without end is born.
So myself wants this to keep going?
Yes. Because without it, it does not feel its own weight. Yourself often prefers suffering to disappearing.
That is disgusting.
That is normal. And that is exactly why it is so dangerous.
Do you want relief? Then listen. When you stop being ruled by name, the past stops being a prison. Humiliation becomes a memory, not a definition. Rejection becomes a fact, not a sentence. Criticism stops driving a hook into your worth. Comparison weakens. Advertising weakens. Propaganda weakens. Other people's opinions lose their power. Energy returns. Simplicity returns. Silence returns.
So I can remember without falling apart?
Yes. Because then memory no longer serves your cult. It serves reality.
And that is only the beginning. Children matter most. They do not need a stronger personality. They need fewer chains. Less comparison. Less conditioning under someone else's image. Less telling them that they must be someone before they even learn how to be.
A strong child is not a child with a bigger ego. A strong child is a child who cannot be pressed so easily by a word, an image, rejection, and shame.
And me? What am I supposed to do now? Now that I see it?
Stop kneeling before your own story.
Stop saying, "This is just who I am." That is one of the heaviest lies.
Stop defending chains just because you have worn them for so long.
See the mechanism. Separate the fact from the interpretation. Separate pain from identity. Separate yourself from name.
And what if I end up alone?
You are already losing alone.
Solitary awareness will not stop the collapse. What is needed is a shared awakening. Not an audience. Not a fan club. Not a brand. A side you choose to stand on.
RAZEM is not comfort. RAZEM is the necessary answer. Heavy. Real. Bigger than your wound. Bigger than your pride. Bigger than your fear.
Now you know. You will not return to the old illusion without paying a price.
So the choice is simple. Either I keep defending what is destroying me, or I reject it.
Reject the chains. Or hand the future over to the machine and to chaos.
Your suffering does not have to keep pretending to be you.
I do not want to be my wound anymore.
Then stop being alone.
Choose.
We're all equal before the machine.
Divided, we lose.
RAZEM.